Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to kind of finish up the geometry portion of the geometry series of the Math Madness videos today, and we're going to look at the coordinate plane. So this will be very helpful for really 4th grade, 5th grade, and definitely 6th grade, and you will use it all up through high school. So it's so good to get that basis of the knowledge of this and grasp the concept of it. And students still, no matter how many times you do this, they still get so confused or mess up somewhere. So I just wanted to make this video to help you all. Don't forget that I do make a mistake for my students to identify for extra credit. So let's get started. So first, I just want to kind of look at a coordinate plane and label all of the parts, some important parts here. So a big important part is this little intersection here of these lines. This is called the origin. And when you're graphing, and you'll see in the notes here in a little bit that when you're graphing, you always start at the origin. So that's where I wanted to start this video, is this is the origin. Now some of this is already labeled for us. So this horizontal axis here is just like a number line that you would see up on the wall or in a book. It is the x-axis. So it's already got labeled x, but here's the x-axis. So the vertical, which is up and down, which is a lot like a thermometer, that is considered the y-axis. So horizontal is x and vertical is y. So then we talked about the origin. Notice that the x-axis, so let's start looking at the x-axis. All of the numbers that go to the right are positive. All of the numbers that go to the left are negative. So in 5th grade, students really only look at the positive numbers because they don't really know a lot of details about negative numbers until they get to 6th grade. So then we have the y-axis. All of the positive numbers go up, just like on a thermometer. As the temperature rises, it's going to go up, and as the temperature falls, it's going to go down. So all of our, when you go down, that is our negative numbers. So another important thing, or a new thing for 6th graders, each of these little squares here, they are called quadrants. Now, they do go in an order, and to remember that order, I always tell my students that it is just like a big C. So you start writing the C here, so that means this is quadrant 1. Now notice that I wrote that in a Roman numeral. Quadrants are always written, I don't know, I'm not an English person, so my grammar is not the best, but this is, you always write it in Roman numerals. So then since we started here and then we went this direction, we went counterclockwise, this will be considered, oh, I spelled that wrong, quadrant, there you go. This would be quadrant 2. Okay, as we continue counterclockwise, this one, oh, my pen's going out. I gotta get a different pen. Okay, so as you get here, this is quadrant 3, and then we end here, which is quadrant 4. And notice that 4 is I and then a V. So when you're writing or answering questions about quadrants, make sure you are using those Roman numerals. Okay, so now let's look at some more important information. So when you are graphing, you're going to graph a coordinate or a point. Some call it different things. But you write those points as form in X and then Y. So the number that is first talks about your x-axis, what number you are going to or you're traveling to in your on your x-axis. So that means, and I always do this for my student, that means you need to move left or right first. So if it's positive, you move right. If it's negative, you move left. So then you're going to move, once you move left or right, then you're either going to move up or down for your y-axis. So don't forget it goes x, comma, y. So then when I'm doing this in class, I like to talk about what kind of numbers, before we even start graphing, what kind of numbers would be in quadrant 1. So in quadrant 1, if I'm graphing here, I'm going to have to move in the positive direction, and then to travel and end up in this square, in this quadrant, I'm going to have to go up, which is also positive. So that means my x coordinate needs to be positive and my y coordinate needs to be positive. So let's look here. Remember, it's x, comma, y. So for me to get to this quadrant, my x, I'm going to have to move left, which means it is negative. Then I will have to move up, so my y is positive. Okay, now let's look at quadrant 3. To get to quadrant 3, I'm going to have to move, remember, x first, in the negative direction. Then I'm going to have to move down, so that is also the negative direction. And something I didn't mention, in your coordinates, they are always in parentheses, and you separate the numbers with a comma, because if you had just 2 and then 4, it would look like 24. So you need to separate your x coordinates and your y coordinates with a comma. All right, so now in quadrant 4, to get to quadrant 4, I'm going to have to move this direction, which is positive, so a positive x coordinate, and then down, so a negative y coordinate. Okay, let's look at a little bit more notes, and then we will start looking at examples. Okay, so just some fun reminders. When graphing, you're going to start at the origin. Then you're going to move left or right first. So negative, you move left. Positive, you move right. Then you're going to have to move up or down. So negative is down, positive is up. Then you're going to plot your point. Most of the time they will tell you what to label your point. So make sure you label it so that the reader or whoever's grading your paper knows that, oh, hey, they know that this is point A or point B. And another fun note that I just mentioned, when identifying quadrants, always use Roman numerals. So, example 1, we're going to graph the following points. So I have this coordinate here. You can print these off online, or you could make your own. So A, it says -3, so we're starting at the origin, so I'm always starting right in the middle. You're going to move, if it's negative, we're going to have to go left. And how many places? So one note, or one little information that I want to make sure to tell you and to cover, sometimes your scales are different. Sometimes they'll go up by 2s, like 2, 4, 6, 8. So make sure you look at what kind of scale your graph has. But in these examples that you'll see, they're only going to be 1. The scale is going to be going up by 1. So I'm going to go left 3 places, 1, 2, 3. Now, I don't put a point there because I have to move left or right and then up or down before I can put my point. So now it says +4. So just like a temperature, when it increases, when it's positive, it's going to go up. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to plot my point right in the intersection of those boxes. And it tells me right here to label it A. So that is point A. Now let's look at this one. So +4. So I'm going to have to move in the positive direction 4 places. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then +7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to label it B. Now I have -5, -3. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left, and then down 3. 1, 2, 3. Notice I'm not counting where I'm starting. A lot of students make that mistake of saying 1, 2, 3. Look at this as 0. This is 0. The lines are 0. So I tell my students, if you want to make sure you don't make that mistake, just say 0, 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to put your point, label it C. And then the last one, we're going to move positive direction, 1, 2, and then down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to label it D. Okay, let's look at example 2. So now it says find the coordinate for the following from the given graph. So here's our graph. I've already prepared this for us. Sometimes they'll give you a question already. So we're going to have to find, on our first example, they gave us the numbers. We're going to have to find the numbers for this one. So starting off with A down here. Remember, they are always in parentheses, separated by a comma. So I tell my students, go ahead and write that. So now, we want to get to A. So starting at the origin, which is 0, I'm going to have to move which direction to get to A? Well, I'm going to have to move left first, which means that the number will be negative. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then to get to A, I'm going to have to go down. So first off, I moved to -4. Then I'm going to have to go down to get to A. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is -4. And you can even draw lines from that point to see where it will hit on that graph. But just make sure that you put your X coordinate first and then your Y. Now, I love B. I want to show you B. Because, remember, we're writing a coordinate. So we do put it in parentheses, separated by a comma. So I'm going to have to move left first to get to B. So 1, 2. So I moved to -2 first. Well, then it's sitting on the line. So I don't move up, I don't move down. I'm staying right where I'm at. And to do that, you say that your Y coordinate is 0. Okay, so now C. So you can draw your lines to see where it hits, or you can start at the origin and say, okay, I move right, 1, 2. So my X is +2. Then I'm going to move down, so 0, 1, 2, 3. It also hits at -3. So my Y coordinate is -3. And now I have D. So you can either draw your lines to see where it hits, or you can start at 0 and move. To get to D, I'm going to have to move in the positive direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4. +4. And then I'm going to have to go up, which is positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So +4, +6. Okay, last example. So now it wants what quadrant does the following points fall within? So now I want the quadrants. You can graph these and see what quadrant it hits. Or remember we had those notes where it says, okay, I know quadrant 1, it has to be positive and then a positive. So let's first look at the first two graphing. So let's graph the first two and see where it hits. So first we're going to start at the origin. We've got +3, -2. So 1, 2, 3, and then I go down 1, 2. So my point is hitting here. Well, if I drew my C, I know that this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3. It landed in quadrant 4. Okay, so now I have -2, 5. So -2, 1, 2, and then up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it lands here. If I look at my C, I have quadrant 1, quadrant 2. Don't forget that your answers are in Roman numerals. So now, without using the graph, without graphing it, we can look and see, okay, I have a positive and a positive. If I graph a positive and a positive, I'm ending up here. And in our notes, it showed here that it's a positive and a positive. So I know that is quadrant 1. And then I have a negative and a negative. So if I move a negative, then negative, I'm going to end up somewhere through here. And our notes also says that the x has to be negative, the y is negative. And that is correct for this example. So it ended up in quadrant 3. Thank you all for watching. I hope that this helped you. Don't forget to, you can leave in the comments anything that you would, any topic that you would like to see a mini lesson on. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and hit that red subscribe button so that you do not miss any of the other Math Madness videos or some of my at-home videos. So we'll see y'all next time. Stay safe. Bye, y'all.